Hello and welcome to Methadone Treatment, Ending Stigma, Saving Lives. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, the channel is going to have to start all over again, but I'm willing to do that, and hopefully I'll be able to improve on some of the videos I made, so let's just get into it. My first video is just going to be a basic introduction of myself. My name is Christina Code. I am 34 years old. I live in Flint, Michigan, and I go to a clinic called Biomed. I have been in the clinic for quite some time. I've been in the clinic for 10 years. A lot of people say that that's a long time, but I do suffer from mental health issues, and I don't feel comfortable going down significantly at least, until I am stable in my mental health. And, some people are going to be on methadone for life. Not everybody. Don't be scared by that. Most people aren't, but some people are. And the way I look at it right now is, if it's not broke, I shouldn't fix it. It's working well for me. I'm slowly but surely earning my take-homes back from an incident, basically missing too many groups. So I guess let me tell you a little bit of backstory about my history. I started using opiate pills when I was 19. Actually, probably about 18. I started with Vicodin, and I quickly accelerated to OxyContin and morphine. It was greatly helped by the fact that my friend's mother had cancer, and she didn't keep track of her meds, and she didn't really care about them, and my friend gave them to me a lot. We were roommates, and that was pretty much, I did a lot of work for her, babysitting, shopping, cleaning, and that was how she paid me. The first time I got quote-unquote dope sick, I didn't even know I was dope sick. I eventually made friends with some people who were harder drug users, and they were using OxyContin to begin with, but they moved to heroin. And for a while, I was too scared to go to heroin. I continued to use OxyContin, but eventually it became too expensive and too much of a temptation, because I saw how amazing they seemed to feel. And how it happened the first time was, I had a bottle of Fioricet, and one of my friends offered to trade me that bottle of Fioricet for 3 packs of heroin, and I jumped on it. I only snorted heroin 3 times before I began shooting, and that led to 4 years of my life being complete and total chaos. I did a lot of bad things when I was using. The one thing I never did was sell my body. I'm not implying that that's anybody should be ashamed of that, because addicts do what they have to do, and addicts do things that they normally wouldn't do because they're desperate. But that was just something I was too scared of doing. So I resorted to shoplifting and running up many credit card bills, and my mother's name, my father's name, and mine. I'm lucky I didn't go to prison for what I did. So I went through that for quite a while, and eventually my dad kicked me out of the house, and he told me I was welcome back at any point in time when I was willing to get clean. I moved to a 3-quarter house, and I was there, I was in one for about 3 weeks. There was a lot of conflict within the house, and I left, and I went to another one, and I was there for about a month, and again there was another conflict. To make a long story short, it was a duplex, and me and only one woman lived in part of the duplex, and she gave me a lot of advice on dating. She didn't like the guy that I was seeing, and she became very offended that I did not take her advice, to the point where she threatened to put me into the Wayne County morgue, which is the county where my 3-quarter house was located. I eventually wound up using there, and I got caught because somebody saw me coming back on the bus from Detroit. I got off at a mall to get job applications to fill out because I needed a job, and also I needed an excuse for why I was gone so long. And when I got back, the first thing they wanted to do was drug test me. I told them not to bother, that I was going to come up dirty, and they kicked me out. I went to a hospital for a little while, and then they put me into a shelter, and I was there for 28 days, and unfortunately, me and a friend of mine, Matt, fell for a scammer who said he was going to rent us a house in Detroit, which was in pretty good condition for a vacant house in Detroit, and we were there for 3 or 4 days when the police came and said, "You were not allowed to be here." And I explained to them thoroughly what had happened, and they knew his name, and they knew that he had been running that scam on people for a while, so neither one of us received any charges. But we began then staying in a loft with a crack user, and the only thing she wanted was a 20 rock of crack for us to stay. Oh, excuse that noise. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a leaf blower. Awesome. I'm not really sure if you can even hear me over this. Let me move. Come on, come with me while we move away from the leaf blower. I am very sorry about that, and I do not mean for the video to be disorganized, which were some of the complaints supposedly that people had about the videos I had before. Anyway, she wanted the money or the drugs to stay in her loft every day. We panhandled a lot, and one day it came down to the point that we had no money. And unbeknownst to me, my friend told the drug dealer that I would give him a blowjob. When we got to his house, and I told the man that I had no idea that that's what Matt wanted me to do, he became very angry at Matt and said, "You know, I'm more than happy to take sexual favors from a woman who is willing to do it, but I am not going to take sexual favors from a woman who is not willing and didn't even know that you promised it to him." And he gave me some heroin, and he eventually got some too, and we went back to the loft, and Matt, looked at me and said, "I love this." And I said to him, "What exactly do you love? You tried to get me to give oral sex to a drug dealer. We panhandle every day. We never know where the money is coming from. We never know if where we're staying we're going to lose. We've been in the same clothes for almost 2 weeks. We haven't eaten in 4 days," and just on and on and on. And I asked him, "So what about that do you love?" And he said, "The high, the heroin." And it just hit me that I was living a completely and totally insane life. And at that point, I called my mother, who had told me never to call her again for money. I called her and told her all I needed was money to get home from Detroit to Flint, and she did send it to me, and I got on the bus back to Flint. The bus went to Pontiac first, and I had to catch a connection to the mall, which would get me a bus to Flint. On the bus, I was bawling my eyes out, and two men, they were a gay couple, approached me and asked me what was wrong. And I just poured my whole story out, and they felt very sorry for me. When we got to where the transfer was supposed to be, the bus was gone. Luckily, they had a car, and they were willing to drive me to the mall, and you know, I really didn't feel threatened by them. They seemed very friendly, they were gay, and I kind of had the view in my mind that if I don't take a ride from them, I will go back to where I was and I will die. So if they do something to me, you know, I'm going to die either way. But luckily, they were very amazing and wonderful people. When we got to the mall, the bus was almost leaving. The driver pulled in front of the bus and said, "This bus isn't going anywhere without you on it." And I got on that bus, I got home, I went to my dad, and he told me I had a week to get into treatment. Took a little bit longer than that, but my dad was willing to, as long as I was trying, he was willing to help me. Back at that time, there was only one methadone clinic in my city, and usually the waiting list was 6 months. By some miraculous miracle, the day before I went in, they went and cleared out the list from everybody who didn't want to go, and there were 3 spots open, and I got one of those. And I feel that was divine intervention, or fate intervening, or something higher than me. I don't know if it was God, but it's something. Anyway, I then got into the clinic, and on June 8th, 2007, and I used for 2 days after that, and then after that, I did not use for a very long time. I have used a handful of times. It hasn't been in a while. It has always been when I got out of jail, because I did have a few warrants from before I got clean. But it saved my life, and I thank God or fate or whatever it is every day that my life was saved, because I have no doubt in my mind that I would be dead had I not entered into that. I went to rehab 8 times and it just didn't stick. If any of you watching this are not on methadone but are considering methadone, I cannot say enough good things about it. I mean, there are some negatives. At first you have to go to the clinic every single day, but as long as you drop clean, you earn take-homes. At least in Michigan, I cannot tell you the rules everywhere, but after 90 days, you earn Monday, Wednesday, Friday take-homes. You only have to go in Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Here in Michigan, after 2 years, you can earn going twice a week, then once a week, then once every 2 weeks, and then once a month. And I'm very slowly but surely getting there. And although I'm not comfortable with getting an entire month, I just feel I will be maybe too tempted sometimes that I'm stressed out to maybe take a little bit more than I'm supposed to. But I would be happy with once a week, or once every 2 weeks. Let me explain very briefly how methadone works, because I want that to be a completely different video. But methadone works better than abstinence. Abstinence and NA meetings have a 10 to 20% success rate, while methadone has a 60 to 70% success rate. It is the gold standard of addiction treatment, regardless of what other people who are negative might want to tell you. That is the truth. But how methadone works is, when you are using an opiate, eventually your brain stops making dopamine. Dopamine literally means the morphine within. Because you are getting it from an outer source, and way more than you would ever get from your own body, your body stops making it. Not only that, but your brain makes more receptors because of how much dopamine you're getting into your body. That's why people get sick when they go off. That's why people get depressed. That's why people feel horrible. That's why they suffer pause. Methadone helps with that. Methadone fills those receptors without getting you high, and methadone slowly heals those receptors, especially when you are starting to titrate. I know a lot of people say very horrible things about addicts, that, all you need is willpower, addiction isn't real, all of that, but you cannot deny brain chemistry. There's no denying that. That's scientific proof. You can't argue with scientific proof. Scientists have proven that opiates change your brain. And that's why it is so hard to get clean off of opiates. It is hard to get clean off of other drugs too, cocaine, crack, meth, but as far as I know, opiates are the only ones who stop making dopamine and make new receptors in your brain that change brain chemicals. Alcohol may also do that. I don't think they make new receptors, but they may change your brain chemistry, although I'm not an expert on alcohol, so I did not want to get into that. But, that is the basics about how methadone works. How to get in a methadone clinic. It varies by state, but you can always get online and look up methadone clinics in my area. There are some nationwide websites that will help you. I will put their names and their numbers in the description below so that, if you need to, you can call them. I just encourage anybody who is struggling, and I know so many people are struggling now with the opiate crisis, to at least be open-minded to it. And, if you really, really, really are against methadone, I would suggest trying Suboxone. I did try Suboxone first, and it just didn't work for me. Especially in the beginning of my recovery, because with Suboxone, all you have to do is stop taking it for a day or two, and you can get high again. Methadone, once you reach a blockade dose, which is around 40 to 50 milligrams, you're not going to get high. You can do as much heroin as you want, or OxyContin, or whatever your opiate of choice may be, and you are not going to get high. You are going to overdose before you get high. I'm not really sure what else to touch on. I know I should have made notes, which is what I usually do, and one of the biggest criticisms, supposedly, of my videos is that they were unorganized like this. But, I guess I will leave it there for now, because I do want to get more in depth about how methadone works, how to get into a clinic, what to expect when you first get into a clinic, and of course many, many other topics, which I will get into later this week. I hope that you guys are all having a great day. If you have any questions, any concerns, any complaints about this video, or there's no videos of mine left, but any videos that I made in the past that you saw, or any videos in the future, please do not feel obligated to not put any negative comments. I want input. I want to know if you don't think I am doing this right. The only thing I do ask is not to, personally attack me, to give me constructive criticism. But, I am open to any suggestions, and I am also open to debating people, or, kind of having a discussion with another person. I'm not quite sure on what the software or the app is that you need to do that. If anybody does know that, please comment and tell me what it is. I use an Android, so no Apple products or no Apple apps. But, I'd really like to do that. I'd like to interview people in all different stages of recovery, and even people who aren't quite in recovery yet, as to why they don't want to, and things like that. So, I guess for now, I will end this video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm having a good day, and later on, I am going to record another video, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope this video was informative, at least briefly understanding who I am and the basics of how methadone works. And thank you for watching, and have a great day, and I will see you very, very soon. Thank you.